For this plunge line bra, you're going to want a bra pattern. Most of them come with 2 cut pieces and anywhere from 2 to 3 band pieces. Mine has 3, the back band, the side band, and the center front band. So this will be where your cup is, that's the very center, and this is where the back band will go. You can find a variety of them online. You can purchase a bra pattern or you can find a free one online too. Just make sure you test the pattern out before you try this tutorial. That way you know that it'll fit already, and then you know that the corrections that you made on the pattern aren't the problem. So usually I use pattern pieces with more seam lines, but for this one, to be simplified, I'm just using the 2. And as you can see, they'll be lined up. And most of the patterns that you can find online or in stores for bras tend to be a fuller cut. So they go higher in the center and they cover the majority of your breasts. The plunge cut, as you find in a lot of store-bought bras, like the push-up bras or front clasp ones, they're a lot lower. So this will show you how to make that from your existing bra pattern. For this tutorial, you'll obviously need the bra pattern, a large sheet of paper, a ruler, a pen, and some tracing paper. First, you're going to want to take the band pattern and trace it on your big piece of paper. Make sure there's plenty of room at the top, so you want to trace this at the very bottom of the piece of paper. You're going to take the band pieces and you're going to combine them on the paper so that there'll be one continuous piece instead of all these separate pieces. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. I'm going to trace the base pattern of your bra onto a sheet of paper, and using a ruler, you're going to want to mark off where the seam allowances are. Usually they're 1/4 of an inch. So you want to mark that in the center seam over there and the back, as well as around the cups themselves. Right now I'm just doing the side seam or the side band. I'll show you how to do the rest after. Now that your seams are marked, you're going to want to take the center band, if you have one. Sometimes they're all in one, and other times they're separated. Since mine is separated, I took it and I put the seam line mark already on there. So I'm going to use that and line it up with the seam mark on this one, so that you have a little bit of overhanging on each side, so that this is where it'll be together, so you don't have any extra space. Now you're going to want to trace this pattern in, just like you did before. And then we're going to mark the seams along the cup line. You don't need to worry about the back band in this one, solely because it's not going to be altered at all. Now you're going to take your cup patterns and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to mark the seam line all the way around. Now there's the bottom cup done. You're going to start on the top one. Now for this one, you need to do the sides, the bottom, and the top, or the center, top and bottom. You don't necessarily have to do the seam line on the top, but it'll give you a better idea of where the bra will sit. So that way it'll be easier to mark your area that you want to decrease it by. So if you know that this is about a ½ inch too tall in the middle for you and you want a little bit less, you know to mark it down by ½ inch. You want to line it up based on the seam line. So this should match this inner line. You're going to do the same with the bottom one. My pattern pieces happen to be backwards for the band, so I'm just tracing around that seam line so that you can see it better. Match the seam lines. See the inner lines. See how this overlap? This would overlap here. So you can just turn this up a little, put this down a little bit, until they're about even. So I'd say about there. Now you're going to want to trace these patterns onto this paper. And then we can start altering. Now you're going to have to draw in those seam lines again, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Mainly you just want it on the inner seams. You don't have to go all the way with it, just because this part is what matters most. Now that we have that done, we want to see how tall we want the center seam part to be. And this will give us our plunge neckline. So right now, mine is about 2 3/4 inches tall. Let's say I want to make it 1 3/4. Or no, let's make it 1.5. So mark it at the 1.5 line. And now we want to find a way to curve this up to this part, which is the strap part. So I'm going to take this and draw a straight line up to it, and we're going to curve it out. We want the curve to go like this and not outward, because otherwise you'll have so much extra fabric there that it'll be gaping, and you don't want that on your bra. You want a nice fitting bra. Once you have a shape that you like and you feel will fit properly, or just look properly on paper, you're going to take this and trace it over each of the pattern pieces, this new line here, and the new line on this cup as well. And I'll show you which ones you'll be tracing with black pen. So for the base band, you're going to want to trace this center line here, and the new top of it as well. So that seam line that you had before, this one, that's your main seam. So you want to copy that over again. And where this cuts through, you're going to take that. And that's your new seam line on top. And just trace around the rest of it. So this will be your new center band panel. So you just want to take tracing paper, put it over here, and then trace that out. And now you're going to trace the top pattern with its new line. It already has the seam allowance in it. You're not going to add more to it. Same with this top part here. So this already has the seam allowance that you need in it. So after this, you'll cut a knock above the pattern using some muslin or just a cheap fabric in general. That way you can see the overall fit and see if it leaves any gaping fabric at the top of the cup here. If so, then you'll go back in and you'll curve this line a little bit more and keep trying. It may take quite a few tries in order to get it perfectly, but it's worth it. So now we're just going to trace over this part, which really doesn't have all that much alteration except for this corner here, which obviously gets cut off. Okay, and now you're ready to trace. So once you have your pattern traced and cut out, you want to make sure you transfer all the markings off your original pieces onto these. So that means any notches or dots or especially the grain line. You want that to be on here so that when you do cut it out, you get the grain line right to make sure that the bra will lay exactly as it's supposed to and that that isn't your fitting issue. So you want to minimize any other fitting issue you might have other than the actual pattern itself. And in the next video, I'll show you the construction of this bra so that you can see how it works. And if you like this video and want to see more, please like, subscribe, and comment below on what you'd like to see next. If you'd like to see a video on how to draft your own bra pattern, please comment below and tell me so, and I can work on making that video. Just be aware that drafting your own bra pattern is an advanced drafting skill, so it's really not for beginners who don't really know much about drafting patterns. But I can show you how to draft it if you'd like. Again, comment below and subscribe and like. Thanks for watching.